in the chat where you can access the transcript. That's the link. And if you guys have any questions during the conversation, please feel free to put the questions in the chat, and then we'll address them at the end of the conversation during the Q&A. And I want to introduce our presenter today. Her name is Besa Bouid. She is a trauma care chaplain, and her organization is called the Gray Tea Kettle Chaplaincy, Community Care, and Support on Mental Health. And we're so grateful to have her here today, sharing her work and her knowledge with us. And without further ado, I want to pass it over to Besa and get this conversation started. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison, and thank you all Enable Project members and partners for having this beautiful series of workshops to support community. So welcome to today's MedTalk discussion on how the pandemic has impacted mental health and provide insights, strategies, and solutions for community support and healing post-COVID. Before we begin, let us create a safe container. This will be a safe place, a place without time, a place where we are all welcome, feel seen, heard, and supported. Let us now engage in a simple centering practice to step away from mindless activities and thoughts from being on autopilot. Taking 3 deep, slow, mindful breaths to settle in. I'm going to read you a prompt while you do this. What matters most to you today? Notice what sensations, memories, feelings, or responses come up for you. The next prompt, taking 3 cleansing inhalations. What would you like to let go of? Focusing on your mindful breaths, I invite you to stay connected to this stillness and keep connecting with your breath. For the last few months, we have witnessed so many situations of oppression and pain. We have witnessed violence to fellow human beings, animals, and the earth. How do we keep ourselves hopeful and working towards justice when we either experience pain and suffering or witness it on the collective level? So today we're going to practice together. This will not instantly remove the pain and trauma. However, it will be a soothing balm to reset our souls and community. We can definitely agree at the heightened level of stress, violence, and trauma in the world today. Specifically with COVID, creating so many situations of uncertainty. However, just last week, Buffalo residents who were simply grocery shopping, little ones in their last week of elementary school, and George Floyd 2 years ago today, or the 111 people in the US who are shot and killed each day. And yes, even the 18-year-old who shot his grandmother and murdered 21 individuals. Now, I have been feeling such profound sadness, grief, and anger over the tragedy yesterday. My heart breaks for the continued violence and suffering in the world. When are we going to address what is causing this individually and collectively? So now some insights on the current condition. When the COVID-19 pandemic began, mental health advocates raised the concern about an increased risk of suicide and depression. During the pandemic, about 4 in 10 adults in the US have reported symptoms of anxiety or depression, compared to 1 in 10 adults between January and June 2019. Christine Moutier, chief medical doctor, and chief medical officer at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, AFSP, said, "It's been clear throughout the pandemic that the overall impact on the population's mental health has been significant. An individual's personal risk factors combined with precipitants such as evolving experiences with isolation, depression, anxiety, economic stress, the situations of illness have been more prevalent during the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly for youth and young adults, caregivers, frontline workers, Black, Indigenous, and people of color populations. Suicide rates are greatly impacted during times of national tragedies or major world events, said Julian Lagoy, a psychiatrist with community psychiatry and Mind Path Care Centers. So why mindfulness? Mindfulness is about honing active listening skills, awareness of healthy boundaries, ethics of conduct, and personal safety. Skills in intrapersonal and interpersonal and professional relationships. John Kabat-Zinn, who is the founder of the Center for Mindfulness at the University of Massachusetts Medical School, says, "Mindfulness is a way of befriending ourselves and our experience. Mindfulness means being awake. It means knowing what you are doing. When we are too caught up in the busyness of the world, we lose connection with one another and ourselves." So the next part that I want to address is, what is decolonized mental health? So decolonized mental health addresses the fatigue, trauma, and emotional toll that individuals face in living in our society that focuses on anti-Blackness, ageism, heteronormative, and ableism. So what do those terms mean? It means that the way that our society has socialized us through schools, through everything that we read, the media, the normative gaze has been through an able-bodied white man. That is the pinnacle of what our society strives and measures us against. So if you are an individual who are getting older, elderly, there are so many of those sayings that, once you're over the hill. And so it's all based on capitalism to make us buy products, right? So that we appear younger than what we are, to look healthy. Disability, chronic illness have been also exploited in our society, where people are shunned, right? Insurance companies don't want to provide you care if you have certain medical conditions, if you're past a certain age. And so that's what ageism is, this hierarchy or this pushing away of individuals that don't fit the box, right? For anti-Blackness, it shows up in so many cultures of the world of, you know, the lighter the skin you have, the more opportunities you have. And so these are all narratives that we've been socialized with, that when you go to a mental health practitioner, if they do not focus on decolonized mental health, they can actually traumatize individuals that don't fit the box, that do not fit the check boxes of all those things I just mentioned. Carson Tuller says that ableism looks like calling people inspiring for navigating a system that is designed for their exclusion, while doing nothing to hold the system accountable. So this is why this talk and what all the Enable Project members are doing and the Center for Independent Living of South Florida is important, because they are trying to dismantle systems of oppression. They are trying to actually make a difference. So inclusion is for all people, not just an afterthought. And so another part of decolonized mental health is reprocessing and emotional awareness, expression, connection and compassion to hope, optimism and resilience, right? Because trauma is the invisible force that shapes our lives. It shapes the way we live, the way we love, and the way we make sense of the world. It is the root of our deepest wounds. I'm sure each one of you watching this at one time or another have been in a situation where you are part of a marginalized identity, right? Whether we're not fast enough, tall enough, thin enough. And so this is what we're here to do the work of deep healing. Because with COVID, an added layer was thrown at us. And for many individuals, this is really taking a toll on their lives. So I'll tell you a little bit about me. My life experiences as a person with autism, a person living with a medical condition, which had me suffering a lot, right? It offered me the ability to recognize how much others were also suffering. And until I committed to learning and developing a deep practice to disrupt narratives, trauma, and systems of oppression, which affected me externally, but were also causing suffering since they were internalized within me by living and being socialized in this society. So as a chaplain, I've developed a secular model of spiritual practice with its connection for embodiment, social emotional learning, and trauma care to support healing and self-awareness. So now we're going to move into strategies for mental health post-COVID. So a few strategies that you can take is to prioritize your time wisely and let go of what you are not able to do. So for that day, whatever your body allows you to do, create space for yourself. Build relationships over possessions. Be accountable for your words and your actions, and make time in putting family first. And finally, rest. Rest is something that we have been taught that is a luxury. And rest is actually a necessity for mental health. So together, we are going to engage in a somatic meditation to reset the inner dialogue that conflicts with resting, right? A lot of times as children, we're told that if we want to rest, we get called lazy or wasting our time. And those are just colonialized narratives. So settle into your body as best as you can, erecting your spine, setting your feet on the floor, and let's place our hands on our abdomen or our heart, if you're able. If not, then just focus on this area. And you're welcome to close your eyes or keep them open. And so now let us take 3 cleansing inhalations and exhalations. And we're going to do vocal affirmations 3 times. You can either say them quietly to yourself, or you can say them out loud, or you can think them. I am worthy of rest. I am worthy of rest. I am worthy of rest. Another cleansing breath in between. Rest is my divine right. Rest is my divine right. Rest is my divine right. As I rest, I honor my body. As I rest, I honor my body. As I rest, I honor my body. Another cleansing breath in between. Rest allows me to connect with nature. Rest allows me to connect with nature. Rest allows me to connect with nature. And finally, another cleansing breath. Rest allows me to connect with myself and others. Rest allows me to connect with myself and others. Rest allows me to connect with myself and others. And as you are ready to come back into the space, you may open your eyes. Notice what you felt saying those affirmations. Notice if any experiences, thoughts, or emotions came up for you. Rest is holy. Rest is for everyone. Rest allows us to slow down and experience the beauty in life. Let this rest reset your soul. So next, we're going to move to solutions. Humans possess an innate tendency to seek connections with nature and each other. This has been studied by many psychologists and scientists, and today we're learning more about this. Today, we have focused on the radical act of self-care and community care, since healing and transformation occur both at the individual and collective level. We have practiced addressing systems of oppression and trauma that have been internalized, and specifically when it comes to rest. So with COVID, one of the post-COVID solutions is rest and permission to rest. This is looking at ourselves and others with compassion. This is how we transform systems of oppression from the inside out. So here we are, turning in all directions, without and within, Attuning to the suffering also simultaneously allows the heart to feel more deeply for the love that is present. Maybe this is what it means to engage the full catastrophe, allowing all that is here to inform what we pay attention to, how we respond to it skillfully, to move from our hearts with wisdom versus our ego, which is what our society has dictated to us. One of the things I want to bring up is toxic masculinity. You know, in this patriarchal society, to be a man means that you have certain privileges. And the double-edged sword is that men suffer because they are sold on boys don't cry, toxic masculinity. And what ends up happening is that they're not allowed to express themselves. They're not allowed to seek mental health support. And then tragedies that we see on the news end up happening. So when we observe these tragedies and moments, we can reify our own dedication to service in this world, to meeting it right where it is with an open hand. May we hold all those directly affected by the shooting in Texas close. May we hold one another close and this beautiful world. So I'm going to invite you, once you're done with this program or later on this evening or this week, to light a candle, to sit down, to sing, to be quiet, to chant, to cry. Do whatever it is that calls you so you can be present, open and receptive and responsive to what is here. I offer my deep appreciation for each of you, right? So now we're going to do a somatic meditation. And I want you to get comfortable in your chair once again, paying attention to the screen in front of us. And I want you to look at every box in the screen and look at each person's face. I want you to hold that gaze. Because the other thing is, you know, the eyes are the way to the soul. And when we look at each other, we are engaging each other from a soul level. There is discomfort in looking at each other, and that's another socialized experience that we've had. And so look at all these beautiful faces here. Notice how each one of these human beings make up this world. This person could be your neighbor. They could be the person that you are driving with during traffic hour. They could be the person that's in front of you or in back of you at the grocery line. Imagine if we all prioritized mental health and trauma healing. So that way, when we are triggered, instead of reacting towards each other and mistreating each other, we held each other with compassion and kindness. Breathing through and holding the gaze of looking at each other in this space. So the next exercise that I want us to engage in is going to focus on active listening. You don't need to repeat anything. All you need to do is lay back, breathe, close your eyes, and listen to the words Or if you are watching the ASL interpreter, pay attention to the words that are being said. And imagine your breath as a white light that's just passing through. Every particle in the universe is breathing together right now. May I be well, loving, and peaceful. May all beings be well, loving, and peaceful. May I be at ease in my body, feeling the ground beneath my seat and feet, letting my back be long and straight, enjoying breath as it rises and falls and rises. May I know and be intimate with body, mind, whatever it's feeling or mood, calm or agitated, tired or energetic, irritated or friendly, breathing in and out, aware, moment by moment, of the risings and passings. May I be attentive and gentle towards my own discomfort and suffering. May I be attentive and grateful for my own joy and well-being. May I move towards others freely and with openness. May I receive others with sympathy and understanding. May I move towards the suffering of others with peaceful and attentive confidence. May I continually cultivate the ground of peace for myself and others, and persist mindful and dedicated to this work, independent of results. May I know that my peace and the world's peace are not separate, that our peace in the world is a result of our work for justice. May all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. And taking a moment to stay with those words. Feel the sensations in your body. Notice if you have any tension in any part of your body, starting with the toes in your feet, the foot, the ankles. Noticing if there's any tension in the chins or the calves or the front of your legs or your kneecaps. Feeling if there's any tension in your thighs. Notice if there's any tension in your back, in your spine, in your neck. Noticing if there's any tension in your abdomen or internally in your internal organs, your diaphragm, your heart, your intestines, your second gut. Noticing if you have any tension in your throat, in your neck, in your face, in your sinus area. In the area in between your eyebrows or your forehead. And noticing if you have any tension on the top of your head. Feel everything in your body. And if you feel tension, let it go. You notice it, and then you release it. And as you keep breathing, send relaxation to that area where you notice the tension. If you feel any emotions rise up, of things that you have to do when you're finished with this program, let them go. Be here. If you feel any tension on situations you have no control of, let them go. If you feel any tension on situations that are happening in the world, let them go. Right now, this moment is the only one we have. And part of mindfulness is being present here, right now. This allows our central nervous system to reset. Part of trauma is being in the cycle of constantly being re-triggered when experiences that remind you of something that has happened before. So right now we're purposely letting everything go. So the next exercise that we're going to engage in, make sure that you're muted because it's going to have a little bit of sound. And in fact, I'm going to mute myself for a moment so you don't have to hear that. But when I'm going to give you a sample of how you're going to do it. And then we're going to do it 3 cycles of 3. So you're going to take a deep breath in and exhale with sound. So let's put ourselves on mute. And let's do 3 cycles. So we will do 3 breaths in with 3 breaths out. Then we're going to take a normal breath. And then we're going to start the next cycle again. So. Normal breath with no sound. Cycle of breath with sound exhalation. Normal breath with no sound. Next set of cycle with noise exhalation. Now feel how your body vibrates. Notice how your body vibrates right now. That's a moment into settling into mindfulness. Notice how all distractions fell away. And it's okay if they didn't, right? If you still had emotions or memories or preoccupations before and after this, while you did this exercise, that doesn't mean anything. There's no judgment. It just means that we have more layers to uncover. And so when you find yourself getting worked up or triggered, disconnect and do these breathing exercises because they really will support you to reset your central nervous system, right? All right, so I want us to think of our identities, and all the different ones that I explained earlier today. And I want you to notice how your identities have given you extra stress during the pandemic. Did you meet more economic instability? Did you have more isolation? Did it create more trauma and patterns of violence in your households? Were there issues with access to transportation? This is a moment for paying attention. Now, all those situations that you brought to mind are real. You're experiencing them. But what I want you to take away is that you're not alone. There's many agencies, people, and communities working to support each other. And so one of the ways that you can pay it forward is to try to connect with your neighbors or with individuals that you know may having these situations, right, where they're being affected, and try to support them. Look up resources, reach out to these agencies, email them, call them. They're all willing to support and walk with you. So this pandemic has really impacted mental health, right? We're really stressed. We're really cut off. We're really lonely. We don't really know when the next variant will hit. So many individuals have lost family members, loved ones. First responders have been working nonstop. People have lost their jobs, access to activities and milestones were gone in a blink of an eye. And that really expresses how fragile life is. So we really need to focus on implementing strategies that we've provided here today. You're not alone. You have support, right? So finally, let's engage again in the centering exercise that we started with today, right? Because oftentimes we are in autopilot, just going through the day, going through the motions, being worried all the time. And we're going to take 3 deep, slow, mindful breaths again to settle in. And I'm going to start with the first prompt again. And I want you to pay attention if there's a shift on what comes up for you versus from when you started. What matters most to you today? And without judgment, pay attention if you get a different response, if you feel something different. And the next prompt taking a cleansing breath. What would you like to let go of? COVID really affected our mental health and our connection to each other. What are things that you realize now after this workshop that you want to let go of? That they are no longer going to be waste time fillers. Notice what sensations, memories, feelings, or responses came up for you. And I invite you to stay connected to the stillness. All right? I want you to stay connected to the stillness whenever you feel yourself getting unsettled. So let's hold each other closely. Let's hold each other in compassion. As we part, let us remember to invoke courage and stillness wherever they may reside that day, whether for ourselves to navigate the challenges that life presents, which manifest in many different forms, or the courage to stand up for others facing oppression and challenges. May your courage become your familiar friend, holding your hand in any time of need. This is my parting blessing and wish for all of you. May it be so. So now we're going to go into some dialogue and questions and answers. And we're going to turn it back to Allison and see if we have any questions from the group.
So we haven't received anything in the chat box, but if everyone can take a moment, feel free to put your questions in the chat so Besa can address them. But I just want to say thank you, Besa. I feel like that was a restart for me. I was feeling the tingles all throughout. Thank you for giving us solutions, concrete tools that we can use at any moment in the day, anywhere, with the breathing exercises. And we're going to share this recording so that more people can have access to this amazing exercise and this amazing conversation. Anna Ruth, she just messaged in the chat. I just wanted to say thank you so much for offering this. I think it's so needed, especially in these hard times.
Thank you, Anna Ruth, for saying that. And thank you, Allison, for also expressing that. You know, the thing is that, like I said, we all carry different identities and our bodies do so much for us, right? And our bodies all have different needs. And so, you know, I can speak for myself. Having multiple sclerosis means that there are days that my body is fatigued. And so when I speak to my elderly grandmothers who are in their late 80s, they also express that their bodies are fatigued. And when I speak to my teenage son who comes home from school, he says his body is tired from fatigue. And when I speak to my neighbor who comes home with the groceries and her 3 kids, says that she's fatigued. And so this is a thing that we all experience limited faculties, right? Where our bodies have pain inside of them. And so a lot of times, you know, our narratives and societies tell us to keep pushing harder, to be faster, you know, to be perfect, do more. And so that creates the mental health challenges for us because we're always measuring ourselves up against something that's unattainable. right? And so what ends up happening is that our emotions then start bubbling up. And every time we go through experiences that re-trigger us, then we react with each other, you know? And this whole world, I mean, is like constantly reacting to each other over and over in every space that you go to. And so one of the things about mindfulness is that it gives you more expansion, more space. It doesn't heal you, and it doesn't erase the trauma that you have experienced, but it gives you space. So that way you are able to have healthy boundaries for yourself, right? And so when a situation where somebody's trying to mistreat you or oppress you, then you're able in compassion to respond back and say, that's not acceptable. Can we take a moment? You know, I need more time, right? And so that allows true inclusion, right? Because when we have organizations, whether it's jobs, hospitals, you know, places where you shop, people have different needs. And to make the assumption that every single person can have the same abilities, it's not true inclusion, you know? And then that creates this whole in-out group of those that are in and those that are out. And so during this pandemic, you know, a lot of people are like, things are getting worse. It's not that things are getting worse. Things are getting exposed. We have cell phones now. We have the internet. And so now people are able to share, right? That they're feeling lonely, that they have, you know, different mental health challenges. And in the past and today, our narratives keep trying to tell us that it's wrong, but it's not. This is part of the human condition. I mean, if we didn't feel anything, if we didn't have any emotions, then we would be robots, right? And so part of the human condition is to honor all of our emotions as they rise up, but honoring them and also feeling them and being with them without causing harm to other people, right? And so I'll give you a good example, anger, right? When we tell our children not to get angry, we're telling them to repress themselves. And then what we're doing is we're creating individuals that allow abuse to happen to them, right? And don't get angry about it. But anger used in a proactive way is action, right? So you take the emotion of anger and you use it with action, then that's a great way of channeling that emotion. So for instance, I got angry when I saw again that there was gun violence. And so what did I do? I signed petitions online. I made phone calls. I made a donation. And so when we do decolonized mental health approaches, we learn to honor our emotions and then find the proactive ways of channeling it. So that way we don't cause suffering to others and we don't cause further harm to ourselves, you know? So I'm so grateful for these workshops because, you know, a lot of information is out there and all these different agencies that are working together are bringing this information to the fingertips of community. So that way people are able to, get to the resources they need. So I see Maria wrote, thank you. Just want to say that sometimes we just forget to breathe and step back for a moment. Yes, we forget to breathe. And, how can we forget to breathe? That's what keeps us alive. So breathe when you get triggered. Stop. Don't react immediately. Don't give an answer immediately. Take a breath. And 9 times out of 10, you'll notice that what you originally were going to say, you don't want to say. So I'm very grateful to have been here, and I hope that everyone will reach out if you need any further support.
Thank you, Besa. I'll put your information in the chat box. And while I do that, I want to introduce our next speaker. She has a brief presentation. She's from the American Association of Health and Disability, and she's representing the All of Us research program, which goes in the same vein of inclusion. And so I want to introduce Cassandra Moore. She's going to take a couple of minutes to give us a little more information about the All of Us research program. And while she's speaking, I will also put Besa's social media links and her organization's website in the chat as well, so you guys can give her a follow. And again, this is going to be a recorded session. We're going to share it with everybody after, so you can share it with your networks and your friends, because I think we could all use these tools during these trying times. And Cassandra, I will make you co-host so you can share your screen. Okay, your co-host now, Cassandra. You should be able to share your screen. Cassandra, just make sure you're off mute if you're speaking.
Okay, can you see my screen? Perfect. Hi, my name is Cassandra Moore. I'm the program coordinator for the American Association on Health and Disability. Our mission is today I'll be presenting on a little bit about our All of Us program, which includes information about individuals living with disabilities and how to engage into the program and become a participant. AAHD's mission is to ensure health equity for children and adults with disabilities through policy, research, education, and dissemination. We do this by reaching the goals of reducing health disparities, advocating for community and inclusion, promoting full accessibility, integrating disability into public health agenda, and advanced knowledge translating and disability research. It is important that our research program continues to seek uniqueness and encourages participation across all backgrounds and ages. Recognizing lifestyle and environments are not just biology, moving more towards social constructs for disability is important when it comes to precision medicine. Precision medicine is an emerging approach for disease treatment and prevention that takes into account individuality, variability in lifestyle, socioeconomics, environment, and biology. It is a radical shift in how each of us can receive the best care possible based on our unique makeup. As displayed here, an example of precision medicine includes individual with prescription eyeglasses receiving specific glasses that fit their needs, or an insulin pump which is specific for people managing their diabetes. In the next image, you also see that blood transfusions are specific to individuals with different blood types. And then lastly, hearing aids are also specific to individuals' needs for their hearing aids and spectrums. So these are all examples of what precision medicine is, where we say it's unique to the individual and it's precise. Potential activities, acts of participants is to enroll, and the enrollment with consent and authorized EHR, which is electronic health record data. Recruiting is for those who are 18 and above. They can participate by registering online and including their interactive consent. Surveys are available after the registration. There's 6 initial surveys to be completed, from the basic to overall health, lifestyle, healthcare access, utilization, family medical history, and personal health history. There's also additional surveys that are released on the ongoing basis. Some of the physical measurements include blood pressure, BMI, heart rate, height, hip circumference, waist circumference, and weight. Also, biosamples are provided, included blood or saliva if the blood draw is insufficient, and then also urine specimen is also collected. Biosamples will be stored in the program's biobank. Of course, everything is with confidentiality. The data from wearable fitness devices will be shared also, starting with Fitbit, and the data about mood and cardiorespiratory fitnesses through integrated apps will also be shared, and these are things that are to come soon. We follow a transformational approach to diversity, which includes people, geography, health status, and data types. And this is reflecting the country's rich diversity to provide and produce meaningful health outcomes for communities historically underrepresented in biomedical research. So it's important that everybody's voices are heard and everybody's represented for the betterment of providing specific medical treatment and other resources. It's also very important that there is an understanding of the security that comes with collecting data. So the approach to privacy and security includes guided by privacy and trust and data security principles developed by experts with input from the public. So we're definitely receiving input from the community members and those engaged to see how to best keep everything secured. Data warehouse is also built in the most advanced security available. Experts have done rigorous research and testing to make sure that this continues. Data is encrypted and direct identifiers are removed. Researchers must agree to a code of conduct before accessing the data. Participants' preference will also be respected. And it's protected by a certificate of confidentiality and committed to transparency in the event of the data breach. So in order for those to enroll into the All of Us research program, their website is joinallofus.org. By clicking on Join Now, as you see in the top of the screen, and it also provides more information about the All of Us research program and how participants can become a participant and engage. These next slide shows the different social media platforms, so you can follow more about what the All of Us research consists of. And I'll give this opportunity also for any questions, or you can also email any questions if you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. So again, if anyone has any questions for Cassandra, please put them in the chat box. Or if you have any after, Cassandra, maybe you could put your email in the chat box as well, so people could copy and paste it if they want to reach out to you afterwards.
Sure.
But thank you so much for coming today and sharing a little bit more about this really valuable research program. And again, we want to thank everybody for coming today. This was co-hosted with the Enable Project. We are a coalition of nonprofit organizations, including the Center for Independent Living of South Florida, Disability Independence Group, and the Advocacy Network on Disabilities, as well as Catalyst Miami. If you want more information about the Enable Project, you can follow us on LinkedIn, and I will also be putting that in the chat box. But essentially what the Enable Project does is we try to train individuals, representatives, organizations from all sectors to become more inclusive and to remove barriers from their events, their programming, to make it more inclusive to our community. And so again, thank you all for coming. Thank you so much, Besa, for sharing your knowledge and your valuable work with us. And again, we'll be sharing this recording with everybody. So we encourage you to share it with your family, your friends, your community, because it's so important for us to focus on healing and inclusion as well. And so I'll put the LinkedIn in the chat, but that is the end of our conversation for today. And again, thank you for joining us.